Hello and welcome to this episode of the Tavleen Singh Show. You are listening to Niti Radio and we have Tavleen with us once again. Welcome to the show, Tavleen.
Thank you, Kanchan.
Tavleen, ever since Narendra Modi started speaking at various events and given the popular response to what he has been talking about, essentially about governance issues, there has been this strident campaign in the media to demonize him. There was always a campaign to demonize him, but one gets the sense that they have sort of stepped on the gas now and, upped the ante. And it's an all-out effort, almost as if it were coordinated and it was a command performance to demonize the man.
Mm-hmm.
You have been with media for what, nearly 3 decades now, or slightly more than that.
More, 4.
Almost 4.
I'm quite old now.
So am I. What do you make of it? I mean, I can't recall a similar demonization effort across the board to sort of, blackball a single politician.
Do you know, Kanchan, I've covered elections first-hand, literally hands-on, since 1977, right? And I have never seen, and because what we're seeing is in my view, the preview of the election campaign, right? So I've never seen one single leader picked on ever. Not even, by the way, in 1977 when Indira Gandhi's emergency was the main issue in the campaign, right? But it was the emergency that the campaign was built around, if you remember, not personally against Indira Gandhi or even Sanjay. And this time what is happening has really quite taken me aback a little, because I noticed that whatever he says, there is a huge media response that is mostly designed to belittle what he's saying and to make everyone feel that he's lying, right? People with no credibility. Them little guy here called Sanjay Jha. He's not a politician. He's not in the Congress party, but he's on television every other night. Who is he? I mean, and he's giving all this kind of detailed analysis and all lies. Last time I heard him say that Gujarat had more malnutrition than any other state, that it had worse infrastructure than any other state, that all its social industry. This is a lie. But he got half an hour on a television channel to say this. So, shall I give you one more example before you ask your next question? Amit Shah was Home Minister when there were those fake encounters, right?
Right.
But he hasn't directly, as far as I know, been implicated as somebody who gave orders for those encounters to take place. Has he?
No, I mean, it's just that he was Home Minister, therefore he may have called the police. Yes, he did call the police. Nobody knows what they spoke about, but he called.
Do you have any, can you list for me the number of fake encounters that occurred and occur in the states of the Northeast, in Kashmir, in the jungles of Chhattisgarh? How many must there be? Has any other Home Minister been routinely pilloried and treated as guilty till proven innocent in the national press? And the way that it's being reported, as if Modi by Amit Shah coming into, what is it, the new national executive? What's the new thing that
he's now General Secretary?
He's General Secretary.
One among, I think, more than 10. I mean, one among many.
Okay. Have you seen the response in the media? As if Ibrahim Daud had been elected to this position. I mean, it's just, I actually cannot find words to describe how shocked I am by the media reaction to Modi. I really cannot.
And the surprising thing is that much of the demonizing which takes place, or much of the critiquing which takes place, they just say, oh, it is not true. But they won't travel to Gujarat, come back and say, okay, I traveled from this point to this point, and these are the things which I found which disprove Modi. They will never do that.
They cannot do it, because I went just on a casual visit a couple of months ago to Ahmedabad, and even the casual visitor can see how much things have changed. So they don't want their position to be disabused, right? The other part of this whole demonization thing is this campaign that's being launched against anyone on Twitter who doesn't share the Congress view. That we're all being called paid to tweet. Now, I was talking about the demonization not just on national television and in the national newspapers, but in the social media. I now regularly, because I'm seen to be a critic of the Gandhi family, I'm getting trolled on a daily basis by people who constantly imply that I'm being paid to tweet or something like this. Now, how ridiculous is that?
That is, unfortunately, that is what is now taken as free speech. You just, spit and scoot. But coming back to this whole thing about the media's role in demonizing a politician, if you see, it's largely about media based in Delhi.
Yes.
Now, it also tells you a story which is not a very happy story. It tells you about a certain proximity between the establishment and the media, the Delhi establishment and the Delhi media.
Yes, absolutely. We are complicit. Anyone who has...
So that is something which is really, not a very happy thing to happen.
No, it's a very ugly thing to happen. But as you know, journalists of a certain stature in Delhi are quietly invited to those little tea parties with Sonia or Priyanka Gandhi. There are those cozy little chats, and they're given a sense of their importance, which immediately changes their worldview somehow. It's as if they're given a little injection of some sort of docility in the tea that they drink or whatever they drink. But it's crazy. They become pro-establishment journalists who are refusing, most of them, to even see that they could be wrong.
I somehow feel it's also about the outsider trying to get into Delhi. I mean, Delhi is not used to the idea about, used to the idea of somebody who's not part of the Delhi establishment to knock on the gates and just open it and walk in. I mean, so there is a certain fear. I don't know what the...
It is fear. You're right. You're right, by the way.
Yeah, okay, maybe it's fear that, they just don't know what's in store for them.
Yeah, well, that's what's really, I think, at the root of it, because many of them, as you know, have had all kinds of government largesse thrown at their way. In the old days, there were the government houses for journalists. I never had one, but I know many colleagues who did. I think they've stopped that practice now. Have they?
Well, they are supposed to have stopped it, but I think PIP accredited journalists still get housing.
Do they? Well, I wish somebody would offer me one. But anyway, there is the houses. Then there is the privileged access to the Prime Minister. Then there are those dinners in Hyderabad House. Then there are the trips with the Prime Minister. So what I think that they fear is, here's a man who does not belong to this little Lutyens Delhi mafia, and he doesn't even bother to speak English to them. So if they don't speak his language even, how are they going to deal with it? And then all the established, privileges, I hope he does this. that he stops them altogether. Because for a start, it's wrong for journalists to accept even awards from government, because, you compromise as a journalist. But I think that there is this fear that he's going to come and change everything, and so they would much rather have, the establishment continue.
There's also this whole thing about, and the Congress does it very well, one must say, and they have always done it.
They've ruled for 55 out of 65 years.
And, somehow they are able to get the media to fly the flag for them. I mean, come what may.
Yes.
Now, if you look at the manner in which, the hostility with which media has been reacting to Modi's various speeches, where he has basically been talking about governance issues, how problems he faced were dealt with, and he's been giving various examples of what can be done and what cannot be done.
Yeah.
Nobody is interested in going into the points which he has made with great scrutiny, but it's just, it's not, where's the big picture? Where's the big idea? And look at the manner in which they have treated Rahul Gandhi.
Right. Well, you see, what is so interesting is actually the biggest problem in India, if you wanted to identify, at least in my view, the biggest problem in India in one word, that word is governance. Every citizen in this country, when he deals with the Indian state, comes up against the ugliest face of governance, either the absence of it, or the brutality of it, or the red tape of it. Name the various ways in which officials, and the worst sufferers are the poor, by the way. I see in Mumbai, the poorest people. I run a small program with street people. I've sort of taught some of these boys who've grown up as part of the program to drive. I mean, they go to the driving school, but they can't get a license because they don't have an address. So how are they going to work? Then every other day the police comes and throws them away and says, get out of here, you've got to leave. And when they say, where do we go? There's nowhere to go. Their children are arrested every day. Their property is broken down. Now, this is the ugliest face that you see of it. But, you and I, when we deal with the state, also face a problem of governance. And Modi has shown how, with the same bureaucracy, in an Indian state, without changing the constitution, without changing the political system, he has managed to get them to work, to get the system to work. That is the most important contribution that the state of Gujarat has made. Now, instead of saying, well, this is something we must do in the rest of India, the same people that talk about governance all the time attack him for saying, he only talks about Gujarat. And then, as you pointed out, Rahul Gandhi comes along and makes a speech in which the most serious problems in our country are treated as if they were just abstract ideas. He offers no solutions, nor any explanations for why those problems exist, since his political party and his family have ruled India for most of our independent years. But, the media has analyzed, especially the leftist media. I mean, it's just sick-making, the kind of, fawning manner in which they've tried to find brilliance in a speech that would be embarrassing, had it come from a major leader in any other democracy.
Now, let's take two examples. Rahul Gandhi spoke at the CII conclave, and then he took exactly two questions. The first question was about center-state relations, which is turning out to be a big problem today. Because increasingly you find states are rebelling against the center. He starts talking about panchayats. We are not talking panchayats here. We are talking about center-state equations in policy formulation.
But to be fair to him, maybe he meant decentralization. So at least he was a little on the point there, meaning decentralization to the panchayat level.
Yeah, but it's center-state relations. I think at the moment we are looking at policies. If you're
You're right.
into a foreign agreement, have you taken the state's concerns into consideration?
You're
I'm just giving
absolutely
an
right.
example. Now, second question was about water, and water will be a big problem for
It's
the country.
the most
20
serious
years down the
environmental problem.
The whole world is talking about water,
Yeah.
about securing its water interests.
Hmm.
He answers that question, I mean, in the sense that he speaks for almost 15 minutes after that.
Hmm.
He doesn't mention water even once. And
You're
nobody
right.
in media points this out.
Well, a couple of people have. But you know what? My impression of the speech, and by the way, I wrote about it in my column, and I've had a mostly positive response to what I've written. So which means that there are other people out there who agree that the speech was a crazy speech. But do you know that in my view, what he did was he was given these buzzwords, cutting edge for business, you are shining ambassadors of India. You know, he was given a whole collection of ideas, which he sort of got jumbled up, because I really don't think that he's paying careful enough attention to these issues. What he does is, because he's quite, he's a nice-looking young man, and, he's got a personable, manner. So what they give him is these things, and they don't even let him practice enough with the idea. I don't think he can actually analyze an idea fully. I don't think that he has any solutions. So, he's been praised, for instance, he was praised by Adi Godrej, no less, for spending a night with the with Dalits and villages, etc. To me, that is glorification of poverty and mocking a man who spends the night in a filthy hut, not because he's trying to make a political point, but because he's too poor to live in a house in Tughlaq Lane. Do you know? And so none of this has ever been analyzed. Every time you've read about Rahul Gandhi in the Indian media, it's in praise of him. And if I'm kind of famous as a critic, but, I'm constantly being attacked for, they say, oh, it's because my friendship with Sonia Gandhi embittered me when she dropped me, and that's why I write about that. Now, that's an insult of the highest proportions, and it also shows how little political understanding the people have who make these charges. But it's routine.
We'll take a short break and be right back with you.
I spent a few days in Gujarat, days that will never leave me. Stepping onto the silvery sands of Kutch, it seemed ironic that we strive so hard to fly to the moon, when the moon itself